All right, y'all, it is time for our June Secret Reads, and I'm very excited because this is a video that I have wanted to do for a little while now. For this month, our Secret TBR Pick is gonna be a Goodreads scroll. So I'm basically have my Goodreads pulled up here on my computer, and I am going to scroll the main page until I find a book that is on my TBR. And as long as the book is the first book I find that is marked want to read, I'm gonna pick it up and read it. So hopefully it's a book I already own since I'm trying to read down my physical TBR this year. I am going to share my screen with you guys so you can see my scroll and we will learn together what book comes up for me.
Hey guys, welcome to our secret vlog, and this month we are doing a Goodreads scroll where we go to our Goodreads feed and we just keep scrolling until we see one from our want to read list. I had done mine right before we did our June TBR, and I went to the library to get it, and I do have it in the secret pouch that we do every month. And the clues I had said during June TBR, Amanda was really excited because it is a fantasy book. I was surprised that that was what was ending up in my feed as the first one for my want to read. And it was from an author I haven't read yet. I am familiar with seeing this author in the books, and I honestly don't even remember hitting want to read on it. But I just thought it actually looked really good and was getting really high marks. And you can actually see, I'm going to show you, I recorded as I did the scroll, so you'll be able to see that. It came out in 2019. I had put it on my want to read, I think in 2021, so it's been on there for quite some time. But I will show you as I scroll, so here's the footage. I am going into Goodreads to do a Goodreads scroll. We are doing a secret read in June where we are going to scroll until we see that we had clicked a want to read in our general feed. So I have a feeling it's not going to take me that long because I have over 900 books on my want to read on Goodreads. So let's see what I'm going to get. I feel like this is almost like a fortune cookie. What am I going to get? Okay, so we have one. And this one is the 10,000 Doors of January. I don't recognize that one. Looks like I added it over 3 years ago. Alex E. Haro, I feel like I recognize that name fantasy-wise, but I have not read anything by them. And just take a quick look to see what it's about. It looks like it's about a fantasy. It's almost giving almost like Narnia vibes. So I am going to figure out how I'm going to read this, but I'm doing my June TBR today, and I want to make sure I have a choice that I can tease of what I'm going to be reading for my secret Goodreads scroll read. So there we have it, the 10,000 Doors of January. It's different, so I really like that I picked something unexpected. So here I go. I'm going to go figure out library, purchase, we'll see.
All right, y'all, I've got my screen recording and I have pulled up the home page. I'm sorry if you hear the dog noises in the background, but just try to ignore that. I've already told them to be quiet. They don't want to listen. But I'm just going to scroll my Goodreads feed and we'll see what book comes up first that I have as want to read. A Talent for Murder. That just came up by Peter Swanson, although I think this one is not out yet. Let me check and see. It came out June 11th, so there you go. A Talent for Murder by Peter Swanson. Oh, that's part of a series. All right, sorry guys, but I don't want to start on the third book of the series, so I'm going to keep going. I knew it was too good to be true, like the second book. All right. The Last Word by Taylor Adams. This is a book that I know has to do with like an author that has like a very disgruntled reader or something. On April 23rd. So, yep. Okay, you guys. I guess we have it. The Last Word by Taylor Adams is going to be my pick for the Secret TBR read.
And as you saw, I did get the 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow. I hope that's how you say their name, and I am really excited to read this. I think it's going to be a good read based on everything I read when I was on Goodreads and seeing everyone's reviews of this. It has a very high rating, and that makes me really want to read it. So join me as I dive into the 10,000 Doors of January. A couple of things before I go ahead and start reading. This is the debut for this author, and this book is obviously about a lot of doors, but it gives me a lot of vibes of books we read as kids where everything seems magical and there's these other worlds and lots of adventure. It kind of gave me the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe vibes. And what's funny is I haven't read Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and it makes me really want to read it, possibly with this vlog, because I feel like it's one of those classics that I should have read. So I'm going to make it a goal that I'm pretty sure I'm going to pick that up and read that right after I read this. This one is about the character of January, and she lives in this huge mansion. It's in the early 1900s, and she's just really craving adventure, and she finds a book that kind of speaks to her sense of adventure, and she ends up in seemingly other worlds, possibly via a door. I'm not sure because I just read very briefly the description. So I am very excited to dive in and see what exactly this book is about. So next time you see me, I'll have an update. Guys, I have an update on the 10,000 Doors of January. I am enjoying this. It's like a magical book. I really love the character of January and how she gets lost in the book that she's reading that she found that came to her magically. And it's gotten kind of intense. I am just over 100 pages in. I am just curious as to where it's going because it's so intense. And there's a couple lines that I wanted to read because I just really loved them. It's the kind of book that I feel you end up cherishing and want a copy. I'm probably going to end up purchasing a copy and owning it because it's just that kind of magical book that you fall in love with. And hopefully I don't feel differently as I get further into the book because I'm only about a third into the book, as long as it keeps going down a good road. But the writing is just fantastic. I am loving the writing. So I am going to read a couple lines I loved that don't spoil anything. And I think you'll see what I mean by how the writing is. And I feel like I have the perfect bookmark, which is the Alice in Wonderland bookmark. And it's one of the wooden ones that I really like. I don't know why I have fallen in love with wooden bookmarks. It's in chapter 4 and titled The Unlocked Door. My eyes, when I opened them, felt as if they'd been plucked from my head, rolled in coarse sand, and crammed clumsily back into my skull. My mouth was gummed and sour, and my skull seemed to have shrunk several sizes overnight. For a few disoriented seconds, I forgot the half-dozen glasses of champagne from the party and wondered dizzily if the book had done this to me, as if a story could ferment in my veins like wine and leave me drunk. Something about as if a book or a story could ferment us and leave us drunk, I felt was just perfect. I just love the way this book is written, and I hope that gave you a good idea of what I mean when I say how much I'm loving this writing. So very much loving it so far, and I will give you guys an update because it did, as I said, just get very, very tense, and I have a good feeling that we're just getting into the meat of this adventure. So we'll see. I'll catch you on the next update.
All right, now that we know I'm going to be reading The Last Word by Taylor Adams, I have to obtain the book somehow. So I'm going to first check my Libby app to see if I can get the ebook. and then I'll check my library to see if I can get a copy right away at the library, because I need to start reading this as soon as possible. So let's just go. Let me check my Libby app and we'll see what we can find. All right, y'all, they do have The Last Word by Taylor Adams available on the Libby app. I can borrow it right away. So since it's not a book that I own, I am going to just borrow this baby and get to reading. Hey guys, yesterday I got about a fourth of the way through the ebook. I'm on page like 59 of 250 something, and I'm in chapter 6, so I don't know if you're familiar with the book, if you care, whatever. So I just got through maybe like the first quarter of the book, and so far some kind of creepy things are happening. So I thought this book was about an author that was being stalked by a upset reader, but I was wrong. It's the reader put a bad review out on Amazon about this ebook that she read, and the author is taking exception to that and has asked her to take it down, and she refuses to. So so far all the interactions that we know of between the two people have been emails, but she's staying in this like remote cabin. It's on a beach, and it's this house, and it's like, you know, 3 of the sides of the house are mostly windows. It sounds like a really cool place, but she's house sitting for this woman over the few months that she's going to be not in her house. This is a secondary house for this woman. Well, we have this lady that wrote the bad review is house sitting for her, and she's all alone. It's just her and her little dog. Well, I say little, but it's a golden retriever. It's not a little dog, but it's just her and her dog hanging out in this house, and the closest neighbor is a quarter of a mile away, and it's kind of cute. She communicates with this neighbor through whiteboards. Like, they'll hold up whiteboards and then they have binoculars, so they send messages to each other through binoculars and writing on whiteboards, and they play hangman, which I thought sounded kind of fun. And we're kind of learning a little bit about her past, which has been very interesting. I am actually very interested in getting to know her a little bit more, and some of the things she went through, some of the things with her husband. She had a husband and he's not there anymore, so you're not really sure what's going on with that. But the creepy stuff is happening where some guy is coming around the house, and he is like showing up on the Ring doorbell, and he's wearing a creepy mask, and she thinks she sees him in the house sometimes. So just kind of some creeper stuff like that happening. So it's giving me the creeps a little bit. It's a little creepy. I love it. I love it though. So far it's been really good. So I am going to be driving most of the day today, so I thought I would check Libby again to see if they have an audiobook, and they do. So I'm going to be listening to the audiobook. I don't know if I'll finish it during the car ride. I certainly have enough time, but I can only listen to an audiobook for so long. Sometimes I need a break. So I don't know if I'll actually listen to all of it today, but I might. I don't know. We'll see. If the audiobook goes by fast, then I'll definitely probably have it read quickly and be able to update y'all when I get to my destination. So stay tuned for that, and I will check back in with you with some more thoughts.
I'm riding with you, baby. I know it's been hard lately. It's not meant to be easy. It's not meant to be. But I swear that I'm not leaving. What you need is a reason. It's not meant to be easy.
Hey guys, so I have been driving just a little bit and listening, well, driving a lot, but I've been listening to a little bit of the audiobook for The Last Word, and I got to part 2, and whoa, part 1 ends kind of crazy, and part 2 is you're starting to get the point of view of the author. So things are getting super interesting, and this book is creepy, and I'm really enjoying it so far. So I just thought you'd like that little update. I'm gonna continue listening to the audiobook while I drive. Y'all see this? 2 lanes, semi-trucks in both lanes, going barely 50 miles an hour. Like, why? Why try to pass each other going through the mountains like this, going 50 miles an hour and blocking all these cars behind you? Like, why? Like, I don't know. I'm with Ludacris here. Move! Just get out the way! If you're doing 60 on the highway, then get out of my way. Sorry y'all, I've been driving for a long time. Just thought you'd want that little update there.
Than I did before.
I have an update. My hair is being really, because of the heat, it's been like in the 90s and all kinds of humid, like it's soupy outside. And it's my hair. It is what it is. I have an update and I have tried something new. I still don't know how I feel about it, but I had plans with my friend Jess, who I haven't seen in forever and who I love to death. I got to see The Lion King, the musical, and it was a drive to Columbus. And I've been having a busy schedule recently and it's hard. I end up reading too late at night and staying up late and then being really, really tired the next day. And there was drive time, obviously, going to Columbus. And I decided that I was going to try and just listen to some of the 10,000 Doors of January, since I would be able to get through a huge chunk in the drive up to Columbus. And I did it through Hoopla. If you guys don't know Hoopla, you can do it through your library, and this is Hoopla. I listened to a huge chunk of it, and then when I caught up with her, we were talking some books, and I told her, she told me that she had been reading Sarah Moss, and I told her I was reading this book, and I proceed to do the cardinal sin of revealing plot points, and I should have checked to make sure it wasn't a book she wanted to read. And I don't know why I assumed, because it's an older title, that she wouldn't necessarily want to read it. And I also feel like it's not like a known title. I said one of the plot points that I feel bad that I said out loud, and she was like, oh my god, I have that book at home and I want to read it. She was so nice about it, because she was like, oh no, it's okay, like that's not, I don't feel like that's a huge plot point that you said. But yeah. So audiobooks, probably won't be doing much of it because I don't drive that much. Whenever I'm in the car for a long period of time, it'll be a nice option to, if I can get the book, it'll be a nice option to read some of it so that I don't need to worry about losing time with reading. So it was nice that between driving to Columbus and then driving home, I am very close to the end. I have like 100 pages left. So I got a huge chunk done, and it's just still, I am still loving it so very much. I was gushing about it to her, and also since I had seen Lion King the musical, I went to the Ohio Theater. But here's some clips of The Lion King in the Ohio Theater so that you can see. I very much enjoyed that show. So here's a short clip that you guys can see.
Alright guys, I made it. I finally made it here. It is the next day, and I didn't get a lot of the audiobook read while I was driving because, well, there's two reasons. One, about a quarter of the way into the book, which isn't very far for me listening to the audiobook from the point where I stopped reading the ebook. So I'd only listened to the audiobook for a little bit, maybe like a chapter or two. and you start getting another point of view. You start getting the point of view of the author, and you are told something that is gonna happen at the end of the book, and it's something I don't want to happen. I mean, if you've read the book, then you know what I'm talking about. But I was like, well, that is a spoiler and a bummer, and I kind of lost interest in the book, so I had to turn it off. But needless to say, I didn't get a lot of the audiobook read, and to be honest with you guys, if I wasn't filming this vlog, oh, sorry, the air conditioning unit just turned on. I'm outside on the deck. But if I wasn't filming for this vlog, I would probably have DNF'd the book at the point where the spoiler was revealed, just because it completely made me lose interest in finishing out the story. And I know that it's possible maybe what he's saying is gonna happen is not happening. I mean, this could be the author making up a book in his mind, like, ahead of time. Or the author could be wrong or something. Like, there could be something that changes in the book. But if I wasn't reading this for the vlog, I would have DNF'd it because I just lost total interest. Since I got back, I have been reading a little bit more, and I have switched back to the ebook because I was just enjoying the ebook a lot more than the audiobook. I don't know why, there was nothing wrong with the narrators. Maybe it's just my mood or something, but I just wasn't really enjoying the audiobook as much as reading it in my ebook. So I switched back to the ebook. I am currently on chapter 22, which is a little more than halfway. I'm gonna try to finish today. I'm really hoping that this little trip is a reading and relaxing and filming and editing trip. So I don't have too many things planned for this trip, so I just kind of have some open time, and I'm just hoping to make this trip more relaxing, and to work on a lot of the YouTube stuff that I have been behind on. So let's just keep reading. I'm gonna sit here on the swing and read some more in the book, and then I will update y'all whenever I have an update. Smoochie. Oh, he's a moochie to Primrose. Oh.
All right, guys, I finished this lovely specimen of a book. I love this book so much. Definitely highly suggest this one. I'm not ready for final thoughts just yet because I am going to read this, but it's a kid's book. It shouldn't take me more than, God, if it takes me more than a day off, that's really sad. And it's really sad that my glasses lately, I keep noticing that lights that are on are always reflecting in it, and it's driving me nuts. Anyway, so it's also sad that I have never read this when I was little, when I loved books so much and loved these kinds of adventure and fantasy and different worlds and getting lost in books. I love those. So making up for lost time and going to read this. Once I get this done, I will have all my final thoughts on both. So that's up next.
Okay, y'all, I have finished The Last Word by Taylor Adams. Whew. This book was a ride. There are a lot of twists in this book. The twist in the beginning that was gonna make me DNF the book, I'm glad that I kept reading. It got better. It wasn't what I thought it was, but at the same time, I mean, I didn't feel like the book was like a 5-star. I am glad I continued reading and I didn't DNF it and continued the book. But also, I didn't think this was like a fantastic 5-star read. It was a solid read. It was a good thriller. It was very different than any other thriller that I had read before. So bravo for that. I think the author's decision in the beginning to have the little spoiler in the beginning of the book was a bold choice. It was very different, and I really like I really actually like that he did that, that he kind of went out on a limb, took that chance, and made that bold decision. However, it did make me almost DNF the book, because I felt like it just left me not feeling great about how the book was going to end, and it left me not wanting to read more. However, I am glad that I still continue to read the book, like I said, because it turns out to be not as terrible as it is perceived in the beginning, the twist. And I'm trying not to give anything away here, but if you've already read the book, then I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. The other thing in this book that was sort of gut-wrenching for me is the main character, Emma, has a pet. She has a dog. It's a white golden retriever. And I don't really have triggers. I don't check trigger warnings before I read books. I don't have anything in books that really trigger me. But something that I do not like in books or movies or in real life, of course, is like unnecessary like cruelty to animals. And in this book, the dog is in danger a lot. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but the dog is in danger a lot, and it just made me super nervous. Yeah. Just gonna leave it at that, because I don't want to give away any spoilers, and I don't want to ruin any of the twists or turns or spoil any part of the book for anyone out there. You know, that endangers dogs is something that's gonna like get your heart pumping. Then this book would do that to you. Just to let you know and throw it out there. Overall, I thought the book was very creative. Like I said, it was very different than anything that I've ever read. And I think the author made some very brave and bold decisions with the plot of the book, as well as with his writing style and choices. So I would really like to read another book by this author. I know that he has a book called No Exit, I believe, but there's a movie based on that book, and I think I've seen the movie, so I feel like it's kind of spoiled for me. But I'm gonna look more into that, and if I'm wrong about a movie being based on that book, then I might give that book a try, because I just think that this author's creativity and choices of plots and plot twist was just unique, and I want to read more of his books, even though this one wasn't like a slam bam home run 5-star read for me. I think there's potential there with this author, so I will be checking to see if he has any new releases coming out and some of his backlist to see if there's something else I might be interested in. If you love this author and have read all of his books and want to recommend something for me, I would love it. I always love your all's recommendations for books when you put them in the comments below, because it helps me find good books. It helps me find books that I might not have seen before. It helps me kind of get an idea of what kind of books you all like. So I just love it. If you have any recommendations, please feel free to comment.
All right, guys, I did finish The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It was a very quick, easy kids book read, and I didn't even intend the irony of the fact that I went and saw Lion King with my friend Jess, and of course is a lion and he is a king in Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And I don't know what I expected from this, but it just, I mean, it's harder to read, I think, some of these kids books when you're an adult. This one's from 1950, because when I read Harry Potter as an adult, well, I say adult, but I was in my 20s, there was just something so magical about those books. And not saying there isn't with this one, it just, to me, didn't have that same magical, overwhelming feeling that Harry Potter gave me. I don't know what the difference is. Maybe I would have to read all of the books, because to be honest, when I first read Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, I wasn't knocked to my feet and thought this was the greatest thing ever. It did read like a kid's book to me. And then Chamber of Secrets, I kind of had the same feeling. I almost didn't keep going. And then Prisoner of Azkaban was the one that I still maintain is my favorite of that whole series. And it really did propel me to want to keep, like, I devoured those books. And maybe that will be true of this if I kept going. I'm not sure. It does have the same elements as a children's book about adventure and believing in impossible magical realms that literal adults about going about their adult life don't feel as real and is just relegated to movies or books. And it's almost speaking to, if you really believe wholeheartedly in something, then you can't escape to those lands and to that reality. But this book I adore. I feel this may be my favorite book this year. The writing is just really what overpowered it for me. It wasn't just the adventure that January goes on and how she goes about opening these doors. And I can't say how because it ruins plot points. And the fact that she has this dog that she calls Bad, and the fierce loyalty and love she has with this animal. And it's such a great book. One of those powerful feelings that you experience, at least I experienced as a kid reading books. And I'm not sure why I didn't read Narnia when I was a kid, but I was reading Nancy Drew books and Anne of Green Gables and Little Women and Babysitter's Club and Sweet Valley. And I had all kinds of different books that I was reading at that time. And somehow I didn't read the Narnia books. I'm not sure why. I did escape into a lot of movies at that time, like Star Wars and E.T. and all that, those kind of 80s movies that were around when I was a child. And so I definitely felt the full power of getting lost in your imagination and believing these things can really be real. And that's really what this book is all about. I mean, she's on a journey to find herself and her history because she's mostly with her guardian, Mr. Locke, and she is looking for her parents is a lot of what this story is. Looking for herself, her past, trying to find her real home. And she ends up finding this book that strangely speaks to what those answers might be. It might have it in that book. And that's all I'll say about that. And there is a book within a book. So the book that she picks up and finds, you're reading that. And then I wouldn't say it's a plot twist, but when a realization happens about that book and it just comes together pretty good. So I gave this 5 stars. Can't speak to how much I loved this book. And if you like fantasy, if you love the type of books that have writing that you can get lost in, and even the chunk that I listened to when I was driving to meet Jess to see The Lion King, I felt like those are the kinds of books on audio that I would be able to listen to and it would have my full attention, because one of the reasons why I feel audiobooks just aren't for me is because I end up, my thoughts go elsewhere and I'm not paying attention and I'm missing plot points. And it really didn't happen. It happened a little bit as I was trying to find parking and I had to stop the book because I was trying to concentrate on where I was going, and so I had to stop the audiobook and pick it back up when I could actually concentrate. So who knows, I may try audiobooks again if I have a longer drive. I may be doing some driving for work here and there, so I may do it, but I'm just concerned about the fact that I would not be able to pay attention and I would be having to rewind or reread, and it just seems like a waste of time. Anywho, this was my secret book and I loved it so much. I hope that Amanda picked a really good one and she loved it as well. Thank you so much for watching as we experienced, I would say this was an experienced our read for this month. And next month we are going to be doing a little free library vlog where we are going to find some little free libraries and choose a book for our secret book from those little free libraries. So please look out for that, and until next time.